From Studio K at Foxboro Cable Access.
Saffron is essentially the stamen of a rose.
Feeling creative?
Sage has a great flavor.
Is your palate needing a new challenge? Well, let's cook with Mike Damasio.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Let's Cook with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Damasio. I know the calendar out there says it's still summertime, but the weather's getting a little cooler, humidity is down. I've seen football on TV, and with fall, you get these great harvests from gardens. And if you saw our garden show the other day, Neil Kaiser has a great garden, one of our cameramen and producers here, and he came up with this great bounty of food for us for today's show. So what we're going to do today is a fall kale slaw with root vegetables. And I'll show you what we have here today, and all of this is from Neil's great garden. So we have some Lucinta kale, which is an Italian kale, basically from the Tuscany region, and this is used mostly in minestrone soup. We have your basic green kale that everybody's familiar with. We have a nice yellow onion, some garlic, sweet peppers of different colors, delicious carrots, some fresh parsnips, beautiful beets, and as you all know, Neil also has a beehive, and he brought us some delicious honey for today's show. So what we're going to be doing is the kale slaw. I also brought in some 21-25 shrimp. The 21-25 is how many per pound they are. So this shrimp is 21 to 25 shrimp per pound, and we're going to saute and marinate them in a delicious honey sherry marinade. We're going to saute up these beautiful root vegetables, toss them in with the different cabbages, and top it off with the shrimp and make a delicious slaw for today. So I'm very excited to get going with all these fresh vegetables. So let's cook. All right, so now that I cleaned off my cutting board a little bit, we're going to get going with the cooking. So the first thing I'm going to do is marinate my shrimp to get that ready. So when we are going to grill it a little later on our induction grill that we've been using all this time on our show. So I'm just going to put about a tablespoon worth of honey. Delicious. I also put some in my tea this morning. It is quite delicious. Throw a little sherry wine. This is just basic sherry wine you can get in any grocery store. You don't want to use expensive stuff for cooking. A little bit of olive oil. And we're going to do some black peppercorn. Cracked black pepper. Very nice. Okay, I'm just going to mix this up a little bit, and we're going to set this aside until we're ready to grill, and this will be one of the last steps we use here. Okay. So now we're going to start working with our vegetables. We're going to start with our biggest product here, which is the kale. We're going to make a nice slaw cut for these, which is sort of a rough cut, but at the same time it's going to be small enough so it's bite-sized pieces. One thing I'm always not a fan of when I go out to restaurants is when they give you a salad that you have to cut. I really like having salads, should be able to stick my fork into it and start to eat it. So I like to make everything bite-sized when I make salads, for whether it's for my family or for my friends, or if I'm entertaining, or even in food service. I always tell my cooks to keep everything nice and small. So I'm going to start here with this Lucinta kale. It's very delicious. I'm just going to give it a rough, about a ½ inch thick, lengthwise cut, and then we're going to do it again and make a nice 1-inch square. Toss that into our bowl. I'm not going to use the ends too much. If I was at home, what I would typically do is, with these ends here, is I would peel away from the stem. One thing, the stems are, they're good for you and everything, but sometimes they can be a little woody, and you really don't want to have that in your salad. So it's always the good leafy stuff, and as you can see, this stuff is, nearly black. I mean, this is full of nutrients and iron and fiber, and so delicious for you. The regular house kale that we use, same thing. I like to peel away from the stem, so you're getting just the leaf. Very simple. Just take it and just pull it away and leave obviously as little bit left on the stem as possible. so that you're getting a nice green leaf the whole way through. So I'm going to continue to clear this. Again, when it gets to the top, obviously the top of the stem is a little easier to eat, so leaving a little bit like that's not a bad thing. Take one more leaf here. Should be delicious. It peels away easily from the stem, so it's not too laborious. All right. Use these for drumsticks. There you go. All right. So again, I'm not piling these up in any particular way. I'm just going to make a pile right here. This is what you call a little bit of a rough chop. And I'm going to spin it. Just try to make the pieces small enough so that just stick a fork in and eat it. And right there we have two beautiful colors in our bowl. And we're going to set this aside for a minute because now we're going to get into these beautiful fresh vegetables. Okay, so we are going to cook up these vegetables today. And what I have for us is here they are. I have the delicious beets. I have these two beautiful sweet peppers. One is green, one is red. Has some nice fresh garlic, a delicious onion, a beautiful parsnip, and a carrot. And we're going to make these, we're going to saute them up in some sherry vinaigrette oil with these vegetables. Really brings out the sweetness in all these vegetables, especially the beets. So here we go. I'm going to start with my carrots here. I don't know if everybody knows, but these vegetable peelers, you can use both ways, up and down. You don't always have to just go one direction. I like to use it in both ways. Gets the job done a little quicker and a little messier, but hey, it's part of the fun of cooking. And the other key of cooking is always have somebody else do the cleaning. So here we go, nice little parsnip. I mean, Neil's garden, I know, in our garden show we spoke about how the rodents and the local creatures took advantage of it, but with the drought we had this summer, they're just looking for ways to get some moisture, get some liquid into their bodies. So from what I've been hearing from a lot of people that have had gardens this year, that the bounty wasn't as great as years gone by, and obviously the watering was very difficult. So weeds took over many local gardens, and so didn't the animals. But you take the good with the bad. Some years are great, some years aren't so great. For all you beachgoers, this summer was terrific. So we have our. So what I'm doing, I'm just cleaning the vegetables right now, make it easy to work with, so once we get working, everything's ready to go. It's called mise en place, getting your stuff together, a little French term they use in the culinary world. Mise en place, get all your stuff ready to go so you're ready to cook. Again, everything is, you can smell the freshness in all these, and if I start to cry, it's because A, I'm really extremely happy, and 2, this onion is very pungent. All right, so I'm going to crank up my little stove here and get cooking. First we'll start with the onion. Again, I'm going to make everything in a julienne strip. I think we're feeding 6 people here today, so I want to make sure I have enough food for everybody. We have our delicious onions. I'm going to do the same with the garlic. Nice. I like doing the garlic nice and thin as possible. Draws out most of the flavor. Then if you happen to get a big chunk of it, it's not going to ruin the meal by any means. So nice and thin. And you'll see again, I'm going to take these nice thin slices and I'm going to go even thinner. I'm going to make nice little julienne strips out of the garlic as well. Garlic, one of my favorite vegetables. It's just, can go with anything. At least I try to put it with everything. All right, then we have these lovely parsnip here. I'm going to take the fat part of it. I'm going to make a cut here, some nice little safety tip. You got something that's round that's going to roll, cut off one side, and then use that flat side. That's going to help you with it not rolling around, not cutting yourself. And again, I'm doing everything in nice thin strips. Turn those over so they're flat again, and again, Nice and julienne. And I'm telling you, that onion is making my eyes water. As soon as I cut into it, I could tell. Woo! All right. And our carrot. Same thing, I'm going to cut an edge off, make it so it's stable. Get these beautiful thin strips. I'm just doing nice little thin strips. Pile them back up on top of each other. Again, it's always safety first when you're using a knife. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to. Slow is always okay, as long as you know you have all your fingers when you're done cutting. All right. Well, one thing I can tell you, this is going to be one colorful dish at the end of the day. All right, so let's just take a step back and see where we're at. Have our shrimp marinating right off to the side here. Oh, they look so good. I have our vegetables becoming all julienne, getting ready for the saute pan. I'm going to give us 2 peppers here. Cut out all the seeds in the inside. People have different ways of cutting the pepper. I like taking the top off, and I can cut it right down in half. Take out this little bit of good stuff. Again, julienne strips. Some red pepper. Some green sweet pepper coming up. Again, take off the top. Cut it down the middle. Take out the pith in the middle. Get all these seeds out. Very nice. And julienne strips. Tremendous. All right, we have plenty of vegetables here to get going. So as you can see, just a few 10 minutes. Oh, we still have our beets to go. Let me get the beets in there. Sorry. Again, same thing. It's a round vegetable. Cut off one side, make it flat. Cut nice thin strips. Tell you, over the last few years, I've become a real big fan of beets. It must have been when I was a kid. The color, the texture, not sure what it was, but boy, you get a nice, especially roasted, draws out all the sweetness out of them, and they are just a great vegetable. And as you can see, the darker the color, the better it is for you. That's going to be great. So we're going to have all these tremendous colors mixed in with our beautiful kale mixture here, topped with a sherry honey vinaigrette. Boy, oh boy, sounds delicious. All right, so let's get the vegetables cooking. We're going to use a little bit of oil here. Get that cooking up nice. So I like to start when I do the sauteing with the vegetables that are going to take a little longer to get going. So our most dense vegetable we have here today is definitely the beet. And there goes the steam. All right. Then we're going to go with the carrots and the parsnips. Those are the next. A lot of people like to put the garlic in first. Seems to be kind of a traditional way of doing things. But really the garlic, especially the way I have it cut here today, very thin. It's going to cook up fast. And, overcooked garlic is never a great flavor. So I am adding the garlic last. Whoa. And red pepper. So we're going to let this saute for a few minutes. And we're going to make our little vinaigrette here dressing for the salad. All right. Very simple. This is going to be very simple. We're going to take about a cup of our sherry. Very nice. About 3 tablespoons of the honey. Fresh, bomb fresh honey. I do recommend using measuring utensils when using, especially using a recipe. I've just been doing this for such a long time that I'm able to kind of eye it out. I'm mixing it up to break down the honey inside the sherry. The sherry wine will break down the honey so it's not sticking to everything. So it becomes workable. A little bit of honey, a little bit of oil. Very nice. We're going to cast this aside. All right. So now we're going to get the shrimp ready to go while our vegetables are cooking. I mean, the colors are now it's starting to look like a tie-dye shirt. All the colors are starting to bleed into each other, but they're still holding their own. But some of the lighter colors, like the parsnip, is going to start to absorb some of the purple from the beet and the red from the carrot. But one thing I'm going to try to do here is not over saute them. I don't want them to get too limp. I want them to stay nice and crisp so you get that, fresh out of the garden crunch to it. It'll keep it nice and fresh. And again, it'll complement the salad very well. The heat is going to wilt the kale just a little bit, which is going to make it, again, nicer to eat. So it's just not that raw, the raw taste you're going to get there. It's going to wilt it a little, and it's going to bring out the flavor in the vegetables and the kale. It's going to be great. All right, our little induction grill is looking good. Put a little bit of oil on this just to try to keep the shrimp from sticking. Very nice. And we're going to throw these right on there. These shrimp being as small as they are, they won't take any time to cook. They'll grill right up. Hopefully we don't need a visit from our local men in red, the fire department here in Foxboro. Always a great help to us when in need. I think there's enough shrimp here for everybody. What do you think? Okay. So now I'm going to get back to our vegetables here, which are just about done. Give them a few good tossing. I mean, this looks really beautiful. Beets still have a great crunch. Starting to draw out the sweetness. I mean, it tastes like we put a cup of sugar in here with all the fresh vegetables and the sweetness from the beets, but it is just their natural flavor coming out from this process here, just drawing out a little bit. So we have our beautiful vegetables. I'm going to take our kale salad. And again, we're going to just pour these vegetables right over. I'm going to give it a good mix. All right. Toss it a little bit. Again, the kale is going to start to wilt a little bit, which is great. I mean, this is a great, like I said in the beginning, that, it's, even though the calendar says it's summer, it feels like fall outside. It's a great time of year. I think I've eaten dinner outside for the last, week and a half because the weather has just been perfect. The humidity's been down, and this is a great salad to have outdoors. It just brings out all the freshness of the vegetables, the time of year as we turn the calendar from summer to fall. And it's just a nice place to eat out in the backyard. All right. I'm going to set that aside as I get ready to flip my vegetables, my shrimp. And they are grilling up just nice. When I first started doing the show and saw the equipment I had to work with, I was kind of concerned. But after all the shows we've done and all the different dishes we've been able to do with just these two pieces of equipment, why do we spend so much at home on kitchen equipment when we could just use 2 induction cookers? and get it all done. So most of these shrimp are done. Some of the ones that were on the outside are taking a little longer, but we move them into the middle. They are looking delicious. Oops, run away. So again, these have been marinating. They look tremendous. I don't think they're all gonna quite make it into the dish because I do have to see how delicious they are. Ooh, that is a great flavor. All right, I'm gonna get a plating dish now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this vinaigrette we just made, very simple mixture, sherry wine, honey, a little bit of oil, drizzle this over our salad that's already begun to wilt. Making a mess. All right. Let's try to pull out some of these colors out of here. So as you can see, I mean, if that doesn't look good for you, I don't know what I'm talking about, because that looks extremely healthy, extremely fresh, extremely delicious. I'm going to pull off some of these shrimp. The shrimp are beautifully done. Put them around. I reserved some of this vinaigrette here. Pour this on top. Folks, again, within another 30-minute time span, we were able to create this tremendous dish from fresh vegetables from Neil's Garden. So we all go to Neil's Garden, get our vegetables for our meal tonight. As long as you just got to fight off the deer and chipmunks and groundhogs and go pick up a few shrimp, grill them up on the grill, and here you have a warm kale slaw with root vegetables in a sherry honey vinaigrette. Delicious. I'm going to get a fork here. Actually, I'm going to skip the fork and go right to my fingers and give it a little try. See how it all matches up together. Take some kale, take a little vegetables, grab some onion and pepper. Well, it's a good thing I made enough for all of us. Thank you very much for sharing this half hour with me. I'm Mike Damasio, and have a great day, and let's cook.